am indeed a consequence of the mentors that have shaped me in my life so far. I perhaps fell in love with my greatest mentor of all. On the 14th of February 2008, I was diagnosed with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, and my life would never be the same again. I just would like to give you a prelude to connecting the dots to where I am today and what I do, so for you to better understand me. I was an avid sportsman. This is not doing me justice at all. I was a pro junior tennis player. I was a marathon runner. I got into medical school because, well, I had a family of doctors and I thought it was cool. And I was the cocky kid. We just believed that he could get by and crook the system. I didn't believe in wasting my creative time in medical school doing things that I didn't like doing. So I found very easy ways of passing things I didn't like. I focused on things I loved, pediatrics being one of them. And I'm glad I'm here today to talk that I'm still in the field. So basically, I had two mentors in medical school, one of them being my dad, which was terrible because he was a professor at the medical school. Me having my cocky attitude, bunking things just didn't go very well. There was another Professor Paediatric, a gentleman who I hoped would be here today. I'm not too sure, he's in ill health. The two of them had tried to shape young minds who were going to be doctors looking after each and one of you and one of your family members as well. You had to wear a tie, you had to wear a collared shirt, you had to wear a white coat. I wore a t-shirt, jeans, sometimes shorts, and sandals. And I would get kicked out of my father's lectures, much to the humor of my classmates. And I still had to catch a lift with him back home. Yeah. I fell in love, I had relationships, I played sport, I got by medical school. But I love pediatrics. It was something that grabbed my heart from the moment I saw a first child in the ward, suffering. So I decided I'm going to venture to Cape Town, to the great Uvistra Hospital, to Red Cross War Memorial Hospital, which is rumored to be one of the best children's hospitals in the world, and definitely South Africa. So I was going through a bit of an emotional strife. Being the cocky kid that I was, I thought I could just motor on with life. And I was training for 2 Oceans Marathon and Comrades Marathon. I'm sure everybody's informed. 2 of the biggest marathons in our country. I ran 10 to 15 kilometers a day. I volunteered to do calls. I love the nursery environment. So I did 2 to 3 28-hour calls a week. I put myself down to the bone, but I still loved what I did, but I felt weak and tired. After 2 months in Cape Town, I came back to my family for my first annual leave. My family looked at me. I looked wizened. I looked depressed. I was 48 kgs, a 15-kilogram drop from my previous weight. My father naturally thought, this is depression. You're away from home. This must be it. Yeah, so he examined me. I had a sniffly nose. From running, I had pain in my chest, which I just attributed to overuse. So I just kept going because I thought, the more you run, it'll go away. So he listened to my chest. I had no to minimal breath sounds on my right side. We had done some imaging, and we had found that I had fluid in those lungs. A chest specialist then had seen me, and we had found out that it was pus, in addition to fluid. We suspected TB. I was a young medic, but I knew just as much that this was what I was going through. I got admitted to hospital and had an agonizing 2.5-hour drain procedure, which I have to say I was treated by very egotistical, arrogant doctors, who cut 4 little puncture holes in my back after asking a radiologist to mark an X on my back. And I was in a side-weight procedure room in a hospital ward, crying out with pain because after 2.5 hours, my local anesthetic had worn out while they cut into my chest. So I was literally there, just trying to get a groan out, but it sounded more like a very manly roar, but I was crying on the inside. The drain was in, the complications began. I began deteriorating through the night. My family had feared the worst. Funeral popped into the head. They prayed around my bed up until the wee hours of the morning. Up until they decided, Shane, he's gonna sleep soon. Maybe we should just go home for 5 minutes to rest our eyes. Or let's just go to the car. Those 5 minutes, a nurse came running out to say, please come quick, we think he's not going to make it. My family rushed over. I don't remember much. I was delirious. I have to say that I actually did have that out-of-body experience that literature and TV so vividly depicts. I began to see my family hold hands around my bed, and I drifted away, thinking I was ready to let go. I had many regrets on that day, but I woke up. I saw the sun's rays come through the right-hand side of the isolation ward that I was in. I heard nurses singing. In South Africa, we are very privileged. I'm not sure how many here today have utilized our government or state sector. Our nurses, when they begin their shifts, start singing gospel songs. They pray in whatever they see fit to help patients. I was always that busy intern or medical student running around, sister, get in my way, move. I need to take bloods, and they pray. For the first time in my life, I got to feel what a patient felt. I got to feel what each one of you feel when you see a doctor. And though I do wear my tie and my collared shirt and look a bit spiffy today, sorry, I don't mean to sound arrogant. I came from a place up here, and I was so glad I started going down. My journey started that day. My father had read up frantically, in addition to communicating with my sister, who was also a physician. And they had just said, no, you know, it's 2008. Drug-resistant TB is making its mark in KZN. I'm sure UV has that. The attending physician, I've grown to love him today, didn't like him then. He said, I'm a chest specialist. You do what you do. This is what I do. Just trust me. This is sensitive TB, which will just last 6 months of his life, and he'll be up and at him again. I breathed the nice sigh of relief, and I said, okay, 6 months. It's not much. Maybe I could make comrades. Cocky kid. And my dad had given me a diary, which he never thought I would use it in this way. My father and my family are actually very OCD. I was the dreamer, the kid that looked up at the stars and did his own thing. And I pissed off a lot of people along the way. He gave me this diary to write down important drug names or things that I would remember or I needed to do to remind them. Because I was incapacitated. I had a draining pus. And I was sitting there in that hospital bed, trying to smile for everybody who came to say, hey, I'm sorry you're sick. And so my dad kind of gave me this book, and I said, there are these people coming here to wish me well. I'm feeling like crap. But let me remember them in this book of thoughts. And when I get better, I looked up and I said, I will thank them each one at a time with a gift and taking time out of my day to realize what they have done for me, to get me to where I was. My TB treatment lasted 3 years, 1 week, and 1 day. In 2011, I was cured. I had 103 names in that book. I am now number 69 of that list. Terrible number. So, what happened thereafter? The sensitive TB 6 months he'll be fine was a lie. I was basically this. That was the catheter that was inserted into my heart. 2 months later, I was diagnosed with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. I had to take an IV chemo catheter, which is what cancer patients take, which was treatment into my heart. I received daily antibiotics, which my family treated me at home as opposed to in a state facility. They would scrub up and wash their hands. I got to see them look after me, which was terrible for that cocky kid. I took 23 tablets a day. And I gotta say, it was not the TB that nearly killed me. It was the side effects of these drugs. Can you imagine taking 23 tablets? Most of my patients say, oh doctor, I can't take 3. So I went through that. And I was smiling. I said, okay, cool, let's do this. So thereafter, I decided, okay, 1 day at a time. But the complications hit. A month later, I developed a very mild form of what we call Stevens-Johnson syndrome. I hate that man. It is blistering skin lesions where you bleed out. You can die from it. I had a very mild form of it. My face looks pretty, but it was actually quite ugly back then. I wore a cap. I hid from the world. I hated things then. But I still tried to smile through it all, but I was dying on the inside. A month after that, my liver started reacting to the drugs. And we had to tailor-make the regimen to change it up again. A month after that, I decided, okay, cool, let me start running. No, it didn't work. I had severe neuropathy, meaning my nerves and my muscles were just clamped into like what you would hold as a fist. I literally walked a centimeter at a time. Walking to the toilet was agony. I heard all my friends and my dear loved ones talk about the medical fraternity, and they called and, oh my God, I admitted 40 patients last night, I'm so tired, but we had this one funny guy. He made my call and it was cool, but I was really jealous. So I got back into work and I pushed myself to the bone again. That little catheter you see sticking out of my heart got septic. So I had to go into theater and have a washout of my chest and have the catheter removed. So yeah, that was what happened. I saw doctors look at me and say, "You're gonna be fine." But I knew they didn't know what was going on with me. So in addition to their help, I started tailor-making my own regimen into my TB regimen to treat myself. I read up frantically and I was against the clock, saving my life, much as I am today. And I got better. After those 3 years, 1 week, and 1 day, I got better. So does my journey stop right there? No, I started running again. Decided to show you all my skinny boy Indian legs. I'm training for marathons again. I'm back in hospital. What did I learn? I truly believe I was born to be a doctor today. I didn't see it years ago. But you come to see a doctor because you feel there's something wrong with you. It's actually wrong. You're coming to see the doctor because you want him to understand what you are feeling and you want him to fix it. I can only do that if I look into each one of your eyes and understand what you're going through. How many of you go to see a doctor today who just give you a prescription for a bunch of medication and they forget really what's going on? What did TB teach me? TB taught me to be human. And I don't think I had a better opportunity than this. My greatest mentor and my love of my life, tuberculosis. Sounds a bit sad, but I lived it, so it was easy when I started off to breathe. I felt every breath go in when I got better. Because with those draining procedures that I had, I couldn't feel much, it was just painful. So, what happened thereafter? I decided to get back into pediatrics. I began specializing, which I'm glad to say I'm well on that road at the moment. Thereafter, I looked at every tuberculosis patient, or I have to do a surgical procedure on them. I remembered what I went through. Now remember that and multiply it by 1 million of what I went through, of what a child feels. Why do I love pediatrics? They are the most innocent part of our human race. A child never lies. He's always honest. His main objective is to play. Something we all forget as we get older. I work in a pediatric resuscitation unit and an ICU. And we lose many babies. But I have to say, before they go, they know. They somehow communicate to their family, "Mommy, I love you. Daddy, I love you." There's not much I do. I feel as doctors we are mediators in a process of something that is controlled from up above. I make my interns and my nurses buy them a cup of tea after I counsel them of the bad news. It was terrible at first, but I'm getting used to it. Why a cup of tea? 6, 8 cups of tea? And we actually start realizing, damn, this is not going to fix anything. But what happens is when you have that funeral, all you want is for the families to tell you the doctors and the nurses did everything they could. So, 9.4 million people are infected with tuberculosis worldwide every year with active disease. 1 million of them are children. 10 million children are orphaned as of 2010 stats after parents have died of tuberculosis. In South Africa, we are sitting on ground zero. It is happening around us. It is here. 20% of our children are the burden of what accumulates South African tuberculosis. So, down to the drawing board. In addition to sleeping at work, I'm the only scientist that wears a tie and collar. But I remember that story that I told you earlier. I'm working with some of the most talented physicians around, as well as scientists. This world has a lot of genius that we can all latch onto. I am currently developing technology to diagnose TB a lot better. My current work is with DNA and picking up TB in stool of children, which is very easy, very yucky stuff though. And I pick up markers in the blood. This is a lovely picture I took in New York 3 weeks ago. It's an area called Dumbo, where I met the most amazing woman who was a waitress that she owned an art gallery. Which was fantastic, because she took me on this whirlwind throw of what New York City is all about. I was at Johns Hopkins University 2 weeks ago. The dome right there, I met somebody who nearly lost their child, and she showed me a statue of Jesus Christ. I'm not a religious man, but that actually meant a lot to me. These are my homies, saying hello to TEDxUmhlanga and all of you lovely people here today. These are some of the smartest kids on this planet. They've all come here to make a difference, to help us here in KwaZulu-Natal, in South Africa, and in the world. And I salute you guys. This is a man who's had tuberculosis 60 years ago. He nearly died. He was locked up in a sanatorium. But he decided, in the sanatorium prison, he was going to cure himself and everybody there. His name is Dr. Jacques Grosset. He's currently alive, teaching me. What a wonderful story this is. You're going to cry sometimes. You're going to be scared. You're going to fly. And then you're going to learn to soar. And you're going to learn to rock on. The thing I want to leave you today is a little bit of mentoring. Hope guides us. It makes us believe. It gives us faith. Today and every day, in me changing the world, I hope to give each one of you hope. Thank you very much. I'm Uvistra Naidoo.